I just gave birth to a child by cesarean section, and my husband rushed to the hospital with his mistress and directly snatched my child away, causing me to be emotional after giving birth to a child, and died in the hospital directly from heavy bleeding, and then opened my eyes. I was reborn back to the night the child was snatched away. At this time I had just come out of the operating room, and the incision of the cesarean section was still very painful, and the anesthetic had long passed. At this moment, my husband Xiao Linchuan was already blocking the door of the ward with his mistress. He wore a black suit and said, "Lin Ziyi, hand over the child." I raised my eyes to look at him, and in my previous life, he said the same. At that time, I had just given birth on the third day. And it was difficult to even sit up, and when I heard that he was going to take the child away, my first reaction was to cry, crying and begging him not to touch my child. Su Wan stood behind him, red eyes, and said softly, "Linchuan. My sister is mentally unstable after giving birth." With this sentence, I was directly labeled as a madman. The child was taken away. I chased to the corridor, the knife was directly torn, I fainted from heavy bleeding, and when I woke up, I was already in a mental hospital, and 3 months later, I died there. But now, Xiao Linchuan was still standing at the door, and Su Wan was still standing behind him. His eyes were red, as if he was wronged. She is Bai Yueguang, whom Xiao Linchuan has protected for many years, and I, the wife who has just given birth, is not as good as her as the owner of the child. I was silent for 2 seconds, reached out and pressed the call bell at the bedside, and after a while, the night shift nurse pushed the door in and asked, 302, what's wrong? I pointed to the people at the door and said directly, call the police. Someone formed a group at 2 o'clock in the morning to grab the newborn. The ward was quiet all of a sudden, the nurse was stunned, Su Wan was also stunned. Xiao Linchuan frowned and said, Lin Ziyi, what are you crazy about? I nodded and replied to him, if you suspect that I am crazy, it is recommended to hang a psychiatrist, but if you are acting now, it is recommended to hang a legal department first. The nurse lowered his head and coughed. Xiao Linchuan's face became even darker, and he raised his foot to walk into the ward. But the nurse immediately stepped forward to stop him. Sir, this is a maternal and child care area, and non-authorized personnel are not allowed to enter. Xiao Linchuan looked at her coldly. I am the father of the child. My father can't forcibly break into the maternity room with bodyguards in the middle of the night. I leaned against the head of the bed, my forehead was already sweating, but my voice was very firm. What's more, I don't admit that you have this qualification now. Xiao Linchuan's gaze suddenly fell back on my face. He was probably the first time he heard me talk to him like this, and even his hand halfway up stopped, and he shouted again, Lin Ziyi. Don't call it so familiar, I interrupted him. And his whole body stiffened. Su Wan hurriedly took half a step forward, her voice so soft that she was afraid of alarming someone. Sister Ziyi, don't be like this, Linchuan is just worried about the child. Worried about children. I looked at her. So you brought 2 bodyguards to break into the mother and baby area in the middle of the night. Is your family's way of expressing fatherly love so tortured? Su Wan's face turned white all of a sudden, he opened his mouth, and did not answer. And the bodyguard behind Xiao Linchuan also lowered his head, as if he was suddenly particularly interested in the floor. Xiao Linchuan said coldly, Lin Ziyi, Su Wan is also for your own good. It's okay for me, I nodded, let her take out her license first, if she doesn't have a certificate. She doesn't care about it, it's called rumormongering. Su Wan's tears fell all of a sudden. Linchuan, I knew that my sister would misunderstand me. Xiao Linchuan's eyes looked at me even colder. Look at what you look like now. Like a woman who had just had a cesarean section for 3 days and was blocked in the middle of the night to rob her child, I said, but you, like a blind woman who was led by her nose and felt that she was very sober. Xiao Linchuan's face turned completely black. Lin Ziyi. Don't challenge my patience. Xiao Linchuan, don't challenge the bottom line of the law. I pointed to the crib next to the bed, the child slept in it, a small ball, even the cry was thin, the child is here, you dare to take it away today without authorization. Tomorrow I dare to let the whole city know. Xie Jiazi grabbed the newborn at 2 o'clock in the morning. When the time comes, don't say that you are just the father of the child, you just say that you are the Jade Emperor. And you have to cooperate with the investigation first. Xiao Linchuan stared at me, he probably hadn't reacted yet. In the past, as soon as he frowned, I was in a hurry to explain, but now, I just want him to explain clearly, why rob my child? Su Wan wiped her tears and took out a document from her bag. Sister Ziyi, I know you hate me, but I can't watch my child have an accident. She handed the document to Xiao Linchuan. This is the risk assessment of postpartum mental abnormalities given by the doctor. And the doctor said that it is dangerous for my sister to stay with her in this state. Xiao Linchuan took it, glanced down, and his face became even darker. Lin Ziyi, what else do you have to say? Once, I was here in a hurry to explain, but the more I said that I was not crazy, the more they thought I was abnormal. This time, I didn't grab the documents, I didn't cry, I just looked at Su Wan and asked, which hospital came out? Which doctor signed it? When is the assessment time? Do I know about it? Who signed the power of attorney? Also, why don't I, the mother myself, know that I have been evaluated? Su Wan paused, and then said, Sister Ziyi, you are so emotional now, I am also afraid of. Don't be afraid, I interrupted her, you call the doctor, and I will ask now how he diagnosed me in the air. Su Wan's face turned even whiter, and Xiao Linchuan frowned. Do you have to be so aggressive? She took a piece of paper from an unknown source in the middle of the night to rob my child, which is called care. I asked 2 sentences about the source, called aggressive. I looked at him, Xiao Linchuan, you are fair. You are quite good at picking people. Xiao Linchuan tightened his fingers holding the evaluation report, and finally looked down at the paper again, which had only the signature of a so-called expert, no record of my confirmation, no stamp of the confinement center. And even the date was the day before I gave birth. I smiled. It's amazing, my child has not yet been born. This expert has already known in advance that I am mentally abnormal after giving birth. Before he studied medicine, did he learn fortune-telling first? After 2 seconds of silence in the ward, the nurse took the assessment, looked at it a few times, and her expression changed. Mr. Xia, this document is not issued by our center, there is no signature of the doctor of our center on it, and there is no confirmation record of the mother herself. Su Wan immediately said, this is not your center, it is an expert found in Linchuan. Where is the expert? I asked, let him come now. If he can really prove that I am crazy, I will immediately cooperate with the consultation, but before he comes, Su Wan, if you say that I am mentally unstable, I will sue you for one more slander. Su Wan's tears hung on her face, neither dropped nor lost. Xiao Linchuan didn't speak for her immediately. There was a brief silence in the ward for the first time. At this moment, Su Wan's expression finally couldn't hold back. She probably didn't expect that something that could convict me with a single sentence in the previous life would have to explain the source in this life. The nurse picked up her phone. I'll call the police now. As soon as these words came out, Su Wan raised his head abruptly and reached out to pull Xiao Linchuan's cuffs. Linchuan, you can't call the police, this matter is a big deal, and it's not good for my sister. I looked at her. Why are you treating me badly again? I, a mother who was blocked from robbing my child, still have to consider my reputation for the person who robbed my child? Su Wan, are you so good at moral kidnapping? The nurse had already started dialing. Hello, this is the Manhwa confinement center. There are unauthorized personnel in room 302 trying to take away the newborn. And the mother herself clearly refused. Su Wan's face became whiter and whiter. Xiao Linchuan was still able to stand. He looked at me, his voice lowered. Lin Ziyi, are you sure you want to make things this far? Sure, I said, don't regret it. You said this very early. I looked up at him. After all, regret usually comes very late. Xiao Linchuan's eyebrows moved. The ward was cold and stiff. The child in the crib moved gently. The little hand peeked out of the swaddling clothes a little. Su Wan's eyes immediately fell. She took a step forward, and said softly, I want to see the child. The nurse immediately blocked her. Miss Su, please don't get close to the crib. I also spoke. I can see clearly, if she falls towards the child, it is recommended to directly attack the newborn. Su Wan froze in place, and Xiao Linchuan looked at me. You must think of her so badly. I don't want to, I sighed, but from the time she entered the door to now, she has not failed a single step in the mental evaluation, paternity test, and proximity to the crib. Su Wan's fingers clenched in the cuffs. She couldn't cry anymore. Because she found that crying was useless with me. In the past, she cried once, I took a step back. Now she cries once, I will add a piece of evidence. The nurse hung up the phone. The police are already on their way. After this sentence fell, the atmosphere in the ward completely changed. Xiao Linchuan's face was calm. The supervisor hadn't come yet, the police hadn't arrived yet, but Su Wan had already panicked first. She bit her lip, as if she had finally made up her mind, and took out the second document from her bag. Sister Ziyi, if you have to call the police, then I can only tell the truth. I looked at the document in her hand. My heart felt cold. Coming, that thing, I was too familiar with it. It used to be it, and Xiao Linchuan's eyes looked at me completely changed. Su Wan handed the document to Xiao Linchuan, his voice trembling. Linchuan, This child is not yours at all. Xiao Linchuan took the document, and the words paternity test on the cover were very dazzling. Su Wan looked at me with red eyes. I didn't want to say it, but my sister is like this now. I really can't let the child stay with her anymore. Xiao Linchuan looked down at the paternity test. The lights in the ward were very white, and his knuckles were a little cold. Su Wan stood beside him. His eyes were just right. Linchuan, I know this is cruel to you. But you can't be confused about the child. Xiao Linchuan didn't speak. He only looked at me, like looking at a fake that finally showed a crack. But I wasn't in a hurry to explain. I just looked at Su Wan and asked, who took the sample? Su Wan was stunned. What? Let me ask you, who took the sample? I leaned against the bedside. The knife edge was numb from pain, but my voice was clear. Who sent it for inspection? Who signed the authorization? On the third day of the child's birth, except for the nurse changing diapers. He didn't even go out of the ward much. Su Wan's tears were still on her face, but this time, she couldn't fall down. Xiao Linchuan paused with his finger holding the document, and finally glanced down at the string of numbers under the appraisal form. Su Wan quickly reacted, her voice trembling. Sister Z, the focus now is not on the sample, the focus is on the result. Wrong, I interrupted. The most important thing in the paternity test is the sample is not clear, and the result is waste paper. Nurse Su Wei stood aside, the corners of his mouth moved, as if he wanted to nod. But he held back. I continued to look at Su Wan. You can't say that my son crawled out by himself in the middle of the night, cooperated with you to complete the appraisal, and crawled back to sleep, right? The ward was quiet for a moment. Xiao Linchuan's face was not very good looking, but this time. He didn't immediately scold me for messing around. Su Wan bit her lip. I just asked someone to get the sample. Who? I asked. Her eyes flashed, and I smiled. Why, are you entrusting someone from the underworld? Living people can't say names. Xiao Linchuan finally spoke. Su Wan, who gave you the sample? Su Wan grabbed the bag belt and his voice softened. Linchuan, are you doubting me now? In the past, as soon as this sentence came out, Xiao Linchuan would immediately stand on her side, but this time, Xiao Linchuan did not answer immediately. He stared at the appraisal sheet in his hand. And his eyebrows twisted out of hesitation for the first time. I looked at him. Xiao Linchuan, you don't have to worry about her now. You first recall that you have asked a sample source since you entered the door until now. He raised his eyes suddenly. I raised my chin and motioned for him to look at the paper in his hand. A newborn who has just been born for 3 days. There is no sampling record, no maternal authorization, no record of access to the nursing area. A paternity test suddenly came out of Su Wan's bag. Your first reaction after reading it was not to ask where the sample came from, but to ask me what else I have to say. You usually sign a contract like this when talking about business. Xiao Linchuan's face froze instantly, and Su Wan was anxious. Sister Z, why do you have to say things so badly? Is it ugly? I looked at her. Then I'll change it to a nice one. Miss Su provided a paternity test of unknown origin, unknown authorization, and unknown sampling, and tried to use it to take away my child. Is this decent enough? The blood on Su Wan's face faded little by little. And Xiao Linchuan lowered his head and glanced at the appraisal form again. Nurse Su, please check if there are any sampling records of 302 newborns in the past 3 days. Su Wei immediately walked to the computer. This time I asked first. She supplemented the certificate, and soon. She looked at the screen and said, no, the 302 newborn has not left the nursing area after birth, and there are no blood, oral swabs or other sampling records, and the identity wristband, feeding records, and night patrol records are complete. Su Wan immediately said. Just because your center doesn't have it doesn't mean there aren't other places. I nodded, yes, so the question comes back, how did you get the sample somewhere else? Did my child send it himself? Or did your hand reach into the mother and baby area? After these words fell, the ward fell silent. And Xiao Linchuan finally looked up at Su Wan. Su Wan's lips trembled. I didn't. Nothing. I asked, no forgery. No buyer. Didn't try to snatch the child with a false identification. Her tears fell again. Linchuan, I'm really just afraid that you will be deceived. Are you afraid that he will be deceived? So you lied to him first. Su Wan choked, and a crease was pinched out of the appraisal sheet in Xiao Linchuan's hand. Enough. He said, and I looked at him. Do you think I've asked enough, or do you think she's showing enough stuffing? Xiao Linchuan didn't answer. Su Wan still didn't intend to admit it. She took a deep breath and straightened her back. Even if this appraisal can't prove the source of the sample now, it can't prove that the child is definitely safe. My sister is so emotional now. who knows if she will hurt the child for a while. I smiled, after going around in circles. I'm crazy again, Soo-won, are you wearing this hat tonight? Soo-won's face was ugly, I'm just worried. Worry must be founded, I said, you say I'm crazy, get a diagnosis, you said that the child is not Xia Linchuan's, take a legal appraisal, you say I will hurt the child and take the evidence. There is nothing, just a word of worry, then I am also worried that you want to rob the child, or detain you first. Soo-won's tears were stuck in her eyes. At this moment, there were hurried footsteps outside. The director of the confinement center came. She was wearing a coat. Her hair was a little messy, obviously she was called up temporarily. As soon as she entered the door, she first looked at Xia Linchuan. Mr. Xia, I'm really sorry, is there any misunderstanding on our side? I raised my eyebrows. The person hadn't stood firm yet, the position was standing first. Xia Linchuan didn't speak. The supervisor looked at me again, trying to squeeze out a smile. Miss Lin, you have just finished giving birth, don't be too excited, if there is any problem, we can coordinate internally. I looked at her, internal coordination. The supervisor nodded, yes, after all. The child is still young, and the mother also needs to rest. I was silent for 2 seconds. Nurse Sue, please help me remember it. Su Wei was stunned. What do you remember? I looked at the supervisor, after the on-duty supervisor of the Manhwa confinement center arrived. He did not seal the monitoring immediately, did not ask unauthorized personnel how to enter the maternal and infant area, and did not verify the authorization of the visitor. The supervisor's face changed. Miss Lin, I don't mean that. Then what do you mean? I asked. Do you think it's not serious for someone to break into the nursing area in the middle of the night? Or do you think it's not serious that someone is trying to take away the newborn with an unknown assessment report and appraisal form? Or do you think that Mr. Xia is standing here? So it's best not to take this matter seriously. The supervisor's lips moved because he was blocked, and Xia Linchuan's face also changed. He probably didn't expect that I would even scold the supervisor. Soo-won took the opportunity to say softly, Sister Zi. The supervisor is also for your own good. I looked at her. There are a lot of people who are good to me today. One wants to rob my child, one says I'm crazy, one takes a fake appraisal, and now another one wants internal coordination, and 2 more. I can't tell whether this is a confinement center or an accident distribution site. The supervisor's face turned red and white. Miss Lin, please pay attention to the wording. I also want to pay attention, I said, but you form a group to send materials in the middle of the night. And it's hard for me not to play. Xia Linchuan closed his eyes, as if he had finally endured to the limit. Lin Zi, do you have to let everyone get off the stage? It's not that I can't get you off the stage, I looked at him, it's that you are standing in the wrong place. This is the mother and baby area, not the living room of the Xia family, let alone Soo-won's performance hall. Soo-won's face turned pale, and the supervisor finally stabilized his tone. Miss Lin, I understand that you have emotions now, but Mr. Xia is the father of the child after all. And we can sit down and talk about some things first. Talk about it. I nodded. The supervisor just breathed a sigh of relief. I continued, write a statement first. First, at 2 o'clock in the morning, unauthorized personnel enter the maternal and child care area. Second, the visitor tried to take the newborn with unverified documents. Third, the mother herself clearly refuses. Fourth, the director of the center suggests internal coordination, and after writing your signature. Who coordinates and who takes the blame? The supervisor's smile completely froze on his face. This. How can this be written? Can't write like that. I asked, what's wrong with that? Did they not come? Did they not grab it? Did I agree? Or did you not say internal coordination? The supervisor was completely speechless, and Su Wei took the initiative to pick up the record book this time. Miss Lin, I can make a duty record first. The supervisor glanced at her suddenly. Su Wei lowered his head, but the pen didn't stop. This time, the supervisor was really panicked. Xia Linchuan also looked at the supervisor. Why did your center let us come up directly? The supervisor's face turned pale. Mr. Xia, it was the front desk who said that you have a special identity. I laughed. Special status. So as long as you look rich enough, you can go upstairs to recognize the child directly by crossing the front desk, authorization, and the mother herself. You are not a high-end confinement center, but a self-service number pickup place for wealthy families. The bodyguard at the door did not hold back, took a breath gently. Xia Linchuan looked back at him. The bodyguard immediately stood up straight, and the supervisor was so anxious that his forehead was sweating. Miss Lin, we will definitely investigate this matter. It's not an investigation, I said. It's that the monitoring is sealed now. And the access control records, visitor records, duty handovers, and front desk release records are all sealed. The supervisor hesitated for a moment, and I looked at her. If you don't block it, when the police come, I will say that you won't let it be blocked. The supervisor's face changed. Seal. Of course, seal. She immediately turned around and ordered the people behind her to deal with it. Soo-won's face became even more ugly. She probably didn't expect that a person who should have been suppressed by her mental instability would now not even let go of the director of the confinement center. Xiao Linchuan stood in the center of the ward, still holding the appraisal in his hand. He looked at me, and then at Soo-won. And the certainty in his eyes finally cracked. Soo-won obviously saw it. She panicked for a moment, and immediately softened her voice. Linchuan, I really have no malice, I'm just afraid that something will happen to the child, if my sister doesn't want us to take it away now. Then at least let the doctor assess the child's safe environment. I looked at her. Here we go again. Soo-won bit her lip. Did I say it wrong? It's a very stable mistake, I said. The biggest safety risk for children now is not my own mother. But you are an outsider who wants to get a mental assessment for a while, a paternity test for a while, and an outsider who wants to get close to the crib for a while. The weakness on Soo-won's face finally couldn't hold back. I'm an outsider. What if not? I asked. Who are you? Mother. Guardians. Authorized visitors. No, I looked at her and said word by word, then you are an outsider. The ward was so quiet that I could hear the needle. Soo-won's face was very white. Xiao Linchuan's hand holding the document tightened slightly. I knew that this sentence pierced her more than all the rebuttals just now, because what she wanted most was to cross me and stand between the child and Xiao Linchuan, but the child was not a prop for her acting, nor was it her ticket to enter the Xia family. The supervisor stood aside. Not daring to persuade him at all, Su Wei was still remembering. The siren sounded faintly from downstairs. Soo-won heard the voice. Her eyes were obviously confused for a moment. She subconsciously looked at the crib again. At this moment, the child in the crib suddenly cried, very softly. Like a kitten, my heart instantly tugged. Just as I was about to reach out and support myself, Soo-won rushed over faster than me. She moved too quickly, and even forgot the weakness she pretended to be. Child. Su Wei immediately stood in front of the crib. Miss Su. Xiao Linchuan also clasped her wrist suddenly. What are you doing? Soo-won froze, his face pale. I was just worried about the kids. Soo-won was clasped by Xiao Linchuan's wrist, and the whole person froze in front of the crib. She reacted quickly, and tears immediately welled up. Linchuan. You hurt me. Xiao Linchuan slapped her finger, and she took the opportunity to look at me with red eyes. Sister Zi, I just saw the child crying a lot, and I want to help you coax it. Why do you think so badly? I looked at her. Coax the child. Do you need to pounce on your child? The nurse stopped you, and you still bumped forward. Soo-won, did you coax your children before? Did you rely on sprinting? Su Wei picked up the child's hand and paused slightly. The supervisor stood next to him. His face was whiter than just now. Soo-won's tears were stuck for a moment. She bit her lip, as if she had suffered a great grievance. Sister, you are really too sensitive now. I am just worried about the child. Worried about the child, so go past the child's mother, past the nurse, and go straight to the crib. I looked at her. Are you worried about the child? Or are you worried that the child is still with me? Soo-won's face changed. Xiao Linchuan looked at her suddenly. She immediately shook her head. No, Linchuan, don't listen to her nonsense. She just wants to push everyone to her opposite side now. I smiled. Soo-won, don't rush to buckle my hat. When you rushed over just now, everyone in the ward saw it. Why don't you perform live? How can normal people just look at the children to see the rune-up? Xiao Linchuan's hand was still clasped on Soo-won, but this time, he did not let go. Soo-won's expression finally cracked a little. She no longer just cried, and her tone became urgent. I'm just afraid that something will happen to the child. You have been blocking everyone and not letting anyone get close to the child. Who knows if you have a guilty conscience? Guilty conscience. I looked at her. I have a guilty conscience. So I called the police. I have a guilty conscience, so I asked for sealing and monitoring. I have a guilty conscience, so let you explain where the sample came from. Soo-won, people with a guilty conscience usually don't like the police to come, such as you. The ward was quiet for a moment. Soo-won's face turned pale, and Xiao Linchuan's eyes sank a little more. This time, there were footsteps outside the corridor. 2 policemen entered the ward, and the police officer at the head glanced at the scene, first looking at the child in Su Wei's arms, and then at me. Who called the police? Su Wei immediately said, I reported it. I took over. I asked her to report. I am Lin Ziyi, a 302 mother. These unauthorized personnel entered the maternal and child care area at 2 o'clock in the morning and tried to take my child. Su Wan immediately spoke. It's not like this, comrade police. We didn't rob the child. Xiao Linchuan is the father of the child. We are just worried about her poor mental state after giving birth. I looked at her. Look, the police just came, and you started sitting again. The policeman looked at Su Wan. Are you a doctor? Su Wani froze. I'm not. Then what is your medical diagnosis? Su Wan opened her mouth and didn't speak. I leaned on the head of the bed and slowly added, she has a postpartum mental abnormality assessment. Su Wan's eyes lit up, as if she had finally grabbed a lifeline, and the next second, I said. But the evaluation time was the day before I gave birth, that is, I didn't give birth, and she had already taken care of me after giving birth. The police looked down at the document, and his expression paused obviously, and Su Wei added, this document was not issued by our center. And there is no confirmation record of the mother herself. The police nodded and put the documents into the evidence bag, and Su Wan's face became even more ugly. Xiao Linchuan stood next to him. This was the first time he didn't help Su Wan speak. Su Wan became anxious all of a sudden. Turned his head to look at him and shouted, Linchuan, say something. Xiao Linchuan looked at her with his eyes down, and his tone was cold. You first make it clear, who gave you the paternity test sample? Su Wan stiffened. I couldn't help but laugh. Xiao Linchuan could be considered to have asked the right question, although it was a little late. Su Wan bit her lip and said hesitantly, I was also reminded. The police immediately asked, who reminded you? Her voice was lowered, anonymous message. I almost laughed. What a coincidence. You all played anonymity today. The expert of the mental assessment was not present, the parent-child sample was given anonymously, and the child was robbed and said it was all for my own good. Su Wan, no one is responsible for the main character of your team, right? The police glanced at me. Su Wei lowered his head and pursed his mouth, and the supervisor stood at the door, not daring to breathe. The police asked me again, what is your appeal now? I glanced at Su Wan and said simply, it's very simple, she said I was crazy, and I want to find out where the diagnosis came from. She said that the child was not Xiao Linchuan's, so I had to check the source of the sample. She said she was just worried about the child, and I was going to check if she had been here last night. After all, she was familiar with every step tonight. And it didn't feel like she was doing it for the first time. Su Wan raised his head abruptly and hurriedly retorted, Lin Ziyi. Why do you say that? I looked at her, just because you were more anxious than my own mother just now. When a child cries, your first reaction is not to call the nurse or ask about the situation, but to pounce on it directly. Su Wan, a 3-day-old child, is most afraid of external forces and infections. You know the risks of postpartum so much, why don't you understand this? Su Wan turned blue by what I said. And he couldn't say a word. The police officer turned to the supervisor and asked, can surveillance and access control records be adjusted now? The supervisor quickly nodded, yes, I can adjust. I added, and last night's surveillance. The supervisor was stunned for a moment. Last night? I looked at Su Wan and said in an affirmative tone, I suspect she didn't come on the fly, she may have been here a long time ago. Su Wan's face changed instantly. It was this moment of panic that Xiao Linchuan saw it, and the police also saw it. I smiled slowly. It seems that I guessed right. Su Wan immediately retorted, you don't lie to me. I nodded, okay, then let's adjust the surveillance. If you haven't been here, monitoring can naturally return your innocence. Don't you like to pretend to be innocent the most? Su Wan was completely speechless. His fingers clenched the bag belt tightly, and his knuckles turned white. The supervisor hurriedly asked someone to adjust the monitoring, and the ward suddenly became quiet, and only the child cried a little anxiously. Su Wei hugged the child and coaxed him twice, then put the child back to me. I reached out and touched his little face, and he slowly quieted down. I didn't look up. I could feel that Xiao Linchuan had been staring at me. He probably found out for the first time. I wasn't losing my temper this time, but unfortunately, I only found out at this time that it was not sober. At most it was a makeup exam. 10 minutes later, the supervisor came back with a tablet. His face was very ugly. Comrade police, at 9:42 last night, Miss Su did come. Su Wan suddenly raised his head and shouted, I didn't. The supervisor handed over the tablet, and in the picture, a woman wearing a mask and a gray jacket came in through the side door, covering it tightly, but the string of pearl bracelets on her wrists was particularly obvious, and Soo-won was also wearing the string today. The police looked at Soo-won's hand. And Soo-won subconsciously retracted his hand into his sleeve. I looked at her with a mocking tone. It's a coincidence, your bracelet also appeared anonymously. Xiao Linchuan's face changed completely, and his voice was frighteningly deep. Soo-won, did you come last night? Soo-won's eyes were red. And he was still pretending to be pitiful. I'm just worried about my sister. I asked her, if you are worried about me, you will wear a mask in the middle of the night and walk through the side door. Why, the main entrance doesn't let you in with this kind of care. Soo-won was forced by me to make his voice sharp. Lin Ziyi, don't always hold on to these details. I looked at her and said word by word, details. The source of the mental assessment is the details, the sample of the paternity test is the details. And the confinement center in the middle of the night is also the details, so what is the point? Is it important to wait for the child to be taken away by you? Soo-won's face turned pale and he couldn't answer a word. The police asked the supervisor again, whose access control did she brush? The supervisor's voice was even lower. It's not a visitor registration, it's an internal employee card. The police asked, whose? The supervisor looked at Su Wei. It's Chen-Li's. Su Wei frowned. She is not on duty tonight. I looked up at my supervisor and said, call her over. The supervisor hesitated. Now. I looked at her and my tone became cold. What? The access control card of your center employees can be swiped into the mother and baby area by outsiders, and this matter needs to be coordinated internally. Don't you plan to give an explanation? The supervisor immediately didn't dare to say anything. And the police also glanced at her and said seriously, contact now. 15 minutes later, Chen-Li was brought in, a nurse in her 30s, with her hair tied in a mess, obviously woken up temporarily. As soon as she entered the door and saw the police, her legs were half weak. And she quickly defended, Comrade police, I don't know anything. I looked at her and said in a flat tone, I haven't asked you yet, you don't know first, this opening remark is not very auspicious. Chen-Li's face turned pale and she panicked even more. Soo-won hurriedly spoke. I don't know her. Chen-Li suddenly looked up at Soo-won, and with this glance, everyone in the audience understood. I smiled. Soo-won, you said you didn't know her, so what does she think you are doing? When she sees a stranger, her first reaction is not to be afraid, but to confirm your face. Your relationship is really strange. Soo-won gritted his teeth. Lin Ziyi, don't talk nonsense. I ignored her and turned to look at Chen-Li. At 9:42 last night, your access card was swiped into the side door. And the people in the surveillance were wearing the same bracelet as Soo-won. You say you don't know now, which means that your card ran over and swiped by your own long legs. Chen-Li's lips trembled. I may have lost my card. I nodded. Lost it? When did you lose it? She got stuck all of a sudden, and held back a sentence for a long time. Yesterday. Yesterday evening. I asked again, what time did you lose it? I don't remember. Did you report it after losing it? Chen-Li was completely speechless. I looked at her in a serious tone. Chen-Li. The loss of the access control card is not reported, causing outsiders to enter the mother and baby area. But if you help someone obtain newborn information, cooperate with fake paternity tests, or even prepare to transfer children, it is not as simple as losing your job. The blood on Chen-Li's face disappeared all of a sudden, and the police also looked at her in a solemn tone. You'd better tell the truth. Chen-Li's eyes were completely confused, and Soo-won quickly interrupted. Comrade policeman, she doesn't know anything at all. Lin Ziyi is just scaring her. I looked at Soo-won and asked, you are so anxious to speak for her, didn't you say you didn't know her? Soo-won and Chen-Li both froze, and the ward was silent for 2 seconds. Xiao Linchuan closed his eyes, as if he had been hit by something. And his face was full of exhaustion. I continued to ask Chen-Li, how much did she give you? Chen-Li shook her head subconsciously. No. I stared at her. Then is this money enough for you to abduct and sell the pot of newborns for her? Chen-Li raised her head abruptly and hurriedly defended. I didn't abduct and sell. Then make it clear. I stared at her tightly. What did she ask you to do? Just swipe your card. Or pat the child's wristband? Or help her prepare a transfer procedure? As soon as the last 4 words were spoken, Chen-Li's whole body trembled, and my heart sank suddenly. And sure enough, I guessed it. Soo-won also panicked and shouted anxiously, Chen-Li. Don't be talked about by her. The police immediately looked at Soo-won. Miss Soo, please don't interfere with the question. Soo-won's lips turned white. And she completely lost her confidence. Chun-Li couldn't hold on anymore, her legs went weak, she knelt on the ground and cried, I really didn't know that she was going to harm the child, I thought she just wanted to confirm the identity of the child. She said that the child might not be Miss Lin's. She said that Mr. Xia was deceived. Soo-won interrupted sharply, you are talking nonsense. Chun-Li cried even more fiercely, I didn't talk nonsense, it was you who asked me to take pictures of the child's wristband, let me take pictures of the child's care card. And asked me to send you the time for the night patrol. You said that as long as I help you prepare a temporary transfer procedure, I don't have to worry about the rest. The ward was completely quiet. And even the child was shocked by the atmosphere and gently twitched his little nose. Xiao Linchuan slowly turned his head to look at Soo-won, his eyes were no longer suspicious, but all shocked, transfer procedures. Soo-won's face was gone, and he hurriedly explained, no, Linchuan. It's not what you think. I looked at her in a cold tone, what is that? Did the child just 3 days after he was born, and you arranged for him to be transferred to the hospital? Or is it that my own mother hasn't signed yet, and you are already ready to make a decision for me? Soo-won's voice trembled, I'm afraid that you will hurt the child. Are you afraid that I will hurt the child? I smiled, then why don't you go through the formal process? Why didn't you inform me of this, mother? Why don't you apply in the name of Xiao Linchuan's father? Why let a caregiver secretly take a picture of the wristband? Why did you bring someone to rob the child in the middle of the night? No one spoke in the ward, even Xiao Linchuan froze in place. Soo-won clutched his belt, his knuckles were pale, and he held back for a long time and said, because you won't agree. Yes, I nodded, a normal mother would not agree to a strange woman sending her child to a strange hospital in the middle of the night, it's not that I'm embarrassed, it's that my mind is still clear. Su-wei looked down at the record book, the tip of the pen paused. The supervisor's face became even more ugly, and he wanted to disappear from the ward immediately. Xiao Linchuan finally spoke, his voice hoarse and hoarse, Su-won, why Heroine Hospital? Su-won looked at him suddenly, in disbelief, Linchuan, do you doubt me too? I'm asking you why now. He stared at her, not asking you if you were wronged. As soon as these words fell, the weakness on Su-won's face completely cracked, she took half a step back, tears were still falling, but her eyes became sharp, I am doing this for you, I said oh softly, in a mocking tone, for him. Steal my child's information, for his sake, falsify my spiritual assessment, for him, I am ready to transfer my son away. Su-won, in your for him package, does the victim fill in me and the child by default? The bodyguard at the door quickly lowered his head again. And Xiao Linchuan's face turned pale inch by inch. Su-won seemed to be stabbed by this sentence, and his voice suddenly became sharp, if you hadn't given birth to this child, would I have become like this? The ward was completely quiet, the police looked up at her. And Xiao Linchuan was also stunned. I looked at her and said in a calm tone, continue. Su-won realized that she had made a mistake and quickly closed her mouth, but I didn't intend to let her go, you just said that if I hadn't given birth to this child, so you hate him very much, right? Su-won's eyes trembled suddenly. I leaned back, and the knife edge hurt so much that my voice was weak, but I chewed every word clearly. Mental evaluation is to prove that I am crazy, paternity test is to prove that the child's name is not justified. The transfer procedures were to take him out of my sight, Heroine Hospital is the next stop you are ready for. Su-won, you didn't plan to let him live well from the beginning. Su-won shouted sharply, shut up. The child was frightened by her sound, I immediately lowered my head and coaxed. And Su-wei also subconsciously took a step forward, blocking the way between the crib and Su-won. The policeman frowned, Miss Su, please control your emotions. Su-won gasped, his eyes were chaotic little by little, and he repeatedly muttered, why? Why can she give birth to this child without doing anything? As long as this child is alive, everyone in the Xia family will stare at him. As long as this child is alive, I will never be able to enter the Xia family in my life. I have been with Linchuan for so many years, what is she? Xiao Linchuan's face turned pale and he shouted softly, Su-won. Shut up, Su-won looked at him suddenly, his eyes twisted, why are you pretending to be sober now? I said she was crazy, and you believed it, I said that the child may not be yours, and you believe it. I said that taking the child away was for the good of the child, didn't you also bring someone here? She laughed, tears still on her face, but her expression was very hideous, Xiao Linchuan, if you hadn't called the police tonight, you would have taken the child away. There was a dead silence in the ward, and Xiao Linchuan seemed to have been slapped in the face, and his whole body froze. I looked at him and said in a flat tone, "Did you hear that? This sentence is true." His Adam's apple rolled and he couldn't say a word. Su Wan was still laughing. "What are you looking at me now? Do you think I'm a bad person? But every time, you believe me first. When Lin Ziyi cried, you thought she was making trouble, when she explains. You think she is quibbling, when she called the police, you still think she's crazy. She's just a little smarter all of a sudden, and you can't stand it." "Shut up." Xiao Linchuan interrupted her suddenly, but it was too late. She had already said what she should say and what she shouldn't. I looked at the police. Are those words enough to add to the record? The police nodded. It will be recorded. Su Wan finally realized that he was completely out of control and wanted to step back, but was stopped by the police. "Miss Su, you need to go back with us now to cooperate with the investigation." She panicked, turned her head and shouted, "Linchuan." Xiao Linchuan didn't move. Su Wan looked at him in disbelief. "You don't help me?" Xiao Linchuan's voice was very hoarse. "You want to harm my child. Your child." Su Wan seemed to have heard a big joke. "Didn't you suspect that he wasn't yours just now?" Xiao Linchuan's face turned pale, and this time, he was not even qualified to refute. I hugged the child, patted him on the back, and looked at Xiao Linchuan. "Xiao Linchuan, don't play the victim here. You are not deceived, you are too lazy to check." He seemed to be nailed to the place by this sentence, and I continued, "I said I was not crazy, you don't check the diagnosis. I said that the child cannot be taken away, and you do not check the authorization. Su Wan said that the child is not yours. You don't check the sample. She said that for the sake of the child, you didn't even ask where the child was taken. Now that the truth is in front of you, you start to regret it, and you will be able to choose a safe time with this regret." Su Wei's pen tip paused on the paper. The supervisor's forehead was full of sweat, and Xiao Linchuan's lips moved. "Ziyi, I." "Don't call me Ziyi," I interrupted him, and Xiao Linchuan's eyes turned red in an instant. If it were the previous life, I would probably be soft-hearted and feel that he finally knew he was wrong. But now I only feel noisy. When Su Wan was taken away, she was still struggling, and she shouted at me with red eyes, "Lin Ziyi, do you think you won? Even without me, the Xia family will not let you take the child away." I looked at her and said in a calm tone, "Then let the Xia family line up. The police side will line up first, and the court side will line up." Su Wan's face was hideous for a moment, and finally he was taken out of the ward by the police, and Chenli was also taken away. The supervisor's legs were so weak that he pressed the door frame. And the ward finally became quiet. The child fell asleep in my arms, and his small breath was close to my palm, light and light. Xiao Linchuan stood in place, as if he suddenly didn't know where to put his hand, and his voice was hoarse. "Lin Ziyi. I know it's too late to say anything now." "It's good to know," I said, "then don't say it." I turned to look at the supervisor. "The record I wanted just now, please make up for it now." The supervisor nodded quickly. "Make up. Make up for it immediately. And the release record of Mr. Xia and his party coming in tonight, I want it too." The supervisor glanced at Xiao Linchuan cautiously, and Xiao Linchuan's voice was low. "Give it to her." I smiled. Mr. Xia has finally learned to cooperate with the process now, which is good. But next time I learn something, I suggest not to practice with other people's children. Xiao Linchuan's shoulders stiffened and he whispered, "The child is also mine." The atmosphere in the ward became cold again, and I looked at him. "So what?" He looked up with a hint of pleading in his eyes. "I have the right to know his situation and to see him." "Rights?" I nodded. "Okay, then let's continue to talk about rights. You forcibly broke into the ward tonight without my consent, you take unverified documents and try to take the child away. You cooperate with Su Wan to create on-site pressure that is unfavorable to me, you almost sent the child on the path she had arranged. Do you think that writing these into the report will help you fight for visitation rights in the future?" Xiao Linchuan completely froze. The supervisor took a breath, and Su Wei continued to lower his head to write records. Xiao Linchuan's voice tightened. "You want to restrict my visits?" "Yes," I did not hesitate. "Before the end of the investigation, I refuse you to contact the child. And the follow-up visitation method will be determined by the court." His eyes were very red, and his tone was pleading. "Do you have to do this?" I smiled. "Here we go again, you rob the child, call it a good child, I protect my children," exclaiming. "Xiao Linchuan. It's time for your thesaurus to be updated." His Adam's apple moved, and he didn't speak. I looked down at the child, and then looked up at him. Also, I want a divorce. This time, Xiao Linchuan's face was completely white. Zi. I want custody of the child, I interrupted him, in a firm tone. I want the Xia family to publicly clarify that I have no postpartum mental abnormality, no cheating, and no harm to the child. I want all my records to be backed up tonight. I want Su Wan and everyone involved to bear the corresponding responsibility. These are not discussions. They are notices. He looked at me, and finally there was panic in his eyes. Are you really going to do this? It's not that I'm going to do this, I said. It's you who have done this. I'm just making up for the records that should be there. Xiao Linchuan's eyes turned redder and he whispered. I was wrong. Well, I nodded. If it's wrong, cooperate with the investigation. He seemed to be blocked by my words, and after a long time, he asked again, you really don't give me a chance at all? I looked at him and said in a calm tone, I have begged you many times, please believe me. Please don't take the child away, please listen to my explanation at least once, but you haven't listened once. He was stunned in place. I didn't look at him anymore, turned to Su Wei and said, Nurse Su, please help me see if the child was scared just now. Su Wei immediately stepped forward. And after checking, he said softly, it's okay at the moment, I fell asleep after crying. After saying that, she glanced at Xiao Linchuan and reminded, Mr. Xia, both mothers and newborns need to rest, please leave first. Xiao Linchuan didn't move. He looked at me, his voice was very hoarse. Z. I was wrong. I nodded. It's good to know that I'm wrong. As soon as a little light appeared in his eyes, I continued, when you take notes later, remember to tell the truth. The light went out in an instant. Xiao Linchuan stood for a long time, and finally turned around and left. Su Wan. Chun-Li and the transfer procedures were taken to the police station together, and the confinement center sealed the surveillance and access control records overnight. The supervisor came to me the next day and said that the center would be responsible, and I asked her, how far is it responsible? She was stunned, and I said, written and written materials, verbal responsibility is not responsible. The supervisor's lips moved, and finally he honestly patched up the material. 3 days later, people from the Xia family came once and said they wanted to sit down and talk, and I asked, what to talk about? The other party said, Mr. Xia is the father of the child after all. I said, then please bring the record of him taking someone to rob the child in the middle of the night. The other party was silent instantly. What happened later, I didn't talk to them privately. Divorce went to court, custody went to court, clarification and accountability also went through the process. If the Xia family wants to be decent, I will let them learn to abide by the rules first. Xiao Linchuan also came once. That day I was about to take my child out of the confinement center. He stood at the door, his eyes were bloodshot. Z, can I take a look at him? I looked down at the child in my arms. He was sleeping soundly, his little hands were holding my collar, and I looked up at Xiao Linchuan and said, no. Xiao Linchuan's Adam's apple moved, and his tone pleaded. I just want to take a look. You just said it was just a look. I looked at him, in a cold tone. When you wanted to take him away, did you give me a choice? Nope. His face turned white all of a sudden. Z, I don't know. Don't know, I interrupted him. You are too lazy to check. He stood there, his eyes a little red. I really know I was wrong. I nodded, then make fewer mistakes in the future. He froze, and I walked past him with the child in my arms. After taking a few steps, he called me behind him. Are you really not giving me a chance at all? I paused, turned around and said, Xiao Linchuan, it's not that I haven't given you a chance. I always waited for you to believe me before. This time, I'm waiting for the police. They came faster than you. After saying that, I got into the car, and the moment the door closed, the child moved in my arms. And I lowered my head and kissed his forehead. After being reborn, I was not in a hurry to take revenge. I called the police first. After all, some people can't see the light. As long as the light comes on, they themselves panic.